speech platform on August 26th, correct?
Yes, I did after telling her my concerns that I had about this speech.
Now you stand firmly on the grounds that there should be separation of church and state, correct?
Yes, I do.
And that any hint of religion should be not brought into the school, is this correct?
Yes, it belongs to the church and the home.
Now yes or no, you signed off on Pat's outline, is this correct?
After talking with her and Ms. Godwin about my concerns, I did sign off.
Was this on the 26th of August?
I believe so.
Now the speech was to be given on September 17th, was it not?
Yes, it was.
And this is roughly a 3-week time period, correct?
Yes.
And in these 3 weeks, yes or no, you did not personally talk to Dr. Cation regarding your concerns on Pat's outline, did you not?
I didn't, but Cation got the memo.
Yes or no?
No, I did not.
You did not. So you did not follow up on your job, yes or no?
I did my job thoroughly.
But you did not personally check with the principal, did you not?
I didn't, but she got my memo.
So is that a yes or no?
I did not personally talk to Cation.
Now, besides being on the oversight committee, were you present during Pat's speech?
Yes, I attended the assembly.
And did you sit throughout the whole speech?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any duties while the speech is going on?
I had to run the audio system for the assembly.
Now, Dr. Cation wasn't there on this day, was she?
No, she was absent.
So, would that leave you and Ms. Godwin in charge, Ms. Keptic?
I guess so.
So you have the right to make authoritative decisions, if given.
Not in the same exact capacity as Dr. Cation.
But leaving you in charge, you have the right to make decisions regarding the protectiveness of students. Is this correct?
I guess so.
Now, at any time, did you feel Pat's speech disrupted the educational setting?
This went more into a gray area. I wasn't sure what the call should be because it went into religion, but then I wasn't sure because I'm not trained, I'm not aware, I'm not sure what would be okay. So I wish Cation had been there so I could talk to her.
Now, you didn't take actions at this point, did you?
No, since Cation wasn't there, but I knew she
Yes or no, you did not take actions?
I didn't take any actions since Cation apparently thought it was okay when they didn't follow up on my memo.
Now, did you have to turn on the microphone when you got there?
Yes, as I said, I ran the sound system.
So you have the capabilities of turning the microphone on and off, yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered. We've already established she was running the microphone.
Your Honor, I haven't asked if she had the right to, or the abilities to turn the microphone on and off.
I think it's a different question. Overrule.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yes or no, you had the authority and the capabilities to turn on and off the microphone.
Yes, it did.
So anytime a student got up there and started talking about unnecessary things, you had the right to turn off the microphone, correct?
If it was like they were swearing or something, I would, but since this was such a gray area and I wasn't sure what the call would be, I didn't do anything.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, a few quick questions. You said you sent a memo to Dr. Cation. Will you please tell the court what this was?
I told her about my concerns about the speech, and that way she could follow up on it if anything was wrong in her eyes.
Will you please explain to us why you didn't turn that microphone off?
Because it was, I'm not trained in this. I wasn't sure what I should do, and my boss wasn't there, who I would go to, and who had the authority to make this call. I wasn't sure, and since Cation apparently didn't follow up with the speech and thought the outline was fine, I figured it would be okay for her to give a speech.
Is Dr. Cation an authority figure to you?
Yes, she's my boss.
If she were to not make a call on this, would you have any reason to go against her judgment?
No, no.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Can I step down? Sergeant Dilks.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Sammy Slang-Tanner Thompson.
You promise that the testimony you are about to give faithfully and truthfully conforms to the facts and rules of the law?
You may.
Please say your name to the court.
My name is Sammy Slang.
You attend Jefferson High School with the plaintiff, Pat Christensen.
Yes, I do.
How long have you known the plaintiff?
Since elementary school, I'd say, just as long as I can remember.
Could you please describe your relationship with the plaintiff?
Well, when we were younger, we were really close friends, and we did everything together. But after Pat was saved, and she just always was trying to save We just grew apart.
Do you know a teacher at Jefferson High School named Francis Godwin?
Yeah, unfortunately I do.
During the school year, have you seen plaintiff and teacher Godwin together at school?
Yes, I see them together all the time.
What were they doing?
Well, most of the time they're just praying or talking, but I saw them once working on Pat's campaign, and they had posters everywhere, markers everywhere, and Pat was on Godwin's computer working on her speech.
Was this during school hours?
Yes, it was.
Were you at the school assembly when the plaintiff and the other candidates gave their speeches for student council president?
Yeah, I had to be.
Why did you have to be at the school assembly?
Well, I was playing saxophone in the band, but even if I wasn't, I would have had to be there anyway because of the school's new active democracy. It was mandatory for all students.
Could you please describe the content of the plaintiff's speech?
Objection, Your Honor. This answer calls for her basing her testimony on hearsay.
In response.
Your Honor, this is Rule 803. Are you home?
It's admitted, or you can proceed, so ruled.
Would you like me to ask the question?
Yes, please.
Could you please describe the content of the plaintiff's speech?
Well, she kept talking about commandments, and she even had the gall to tell me how to live my life, not just at school, but at my home too. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
How did the speech make you feel?
It just made me sick, you know. She was standing up there, preaching to me, telling me how to live, and it was just like when we stopped being friends, you know. She was telling me how I needed to pray, and, you know, it wasn't a speech, it was a sermon.
Would you have felt differently about the content of the speech if it had not occurred at school?
Definitely.
Do you have an example of religious content that occurred outside of school?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Your Honor, this goes to show the bias of I'm sorry. I have no further questions.
Okay. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I proceed? You may.
Now, Ms. Slang, you claim that you saw Ms. Godwin and Pat Christensen working in Ms. Godwin's room on Ms. Christensen's campaign, right?
Yes.
And you claim that these were materials from the school, correct?
Yes.
However, you have no personal knowledge of whether or not these materials were Ms. Christensen's or Ms. Godwin's, do you?
I guess not, but they were working on them in school, so I just assumed.
But the materials could have been Ms. Christensen's, couldn't they?
I guess so.
A couple of years ago, you disapproved of the editing of a veganist campaign, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Your Honor, may I produce the witness purpose of engaging?
You may.
Please read along with me in paragraph 2 as I read aloud. Like I was saying, our principal, Mr. Eddy, he's a horse's you-know-what. All Mr. Ed does is give me crap. She's totally out of control. Same as Mr. Eddy did to that guy who ran for the vegans a couple years ago. She tore down all those slaughtered cow pictures. What's wrong with a couple of dead chickens? Hung an effort to make a vegan point. There are millions of them slaughtered every day. Now, Ms. Lang, you would agree that you were kind of upset when Mr. Cation edited the vegans campaign, wouldn't you?
I didn't see what was wrong with the posters.
Did you feel that he had a right to do this?
Well, I think she does have the right to do this, but I think she
not have that same right, correct?
That is exactly right. She's forcing religion down my throat.
Now, Miss Slang, you have a problem with authorities, don't you?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Isn't it true you called Dr. Cation a horse's you-know-what?
You just read it, so yeah.
And you've also called Miss Godwin a sicko, right?
Yes, I am not the biggest fan.
And you agree that both of these people are authoritative figures in your school?
Yes.
You also have a problem with Miss Christensen, correct?
Well, after we stopped being friends, I don't know, just the way we stopped being friends kind of upset me, so I guess you could say that.
You've called her names such as Pat the Rat, Freak, and a self-righteous hypocrite, correct?
Yes, that's true.
Nothing further.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Can I sit down? Benson, are you next witness?
The principal saw the education proceedings.
Counsel is sworn.
Do you promise that the testimony you are about to give faithfully and truthfully abides to the facts and rules of mock trial competition?
Would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Dr Cation.
Where do you currently reside?
I live in Stevens, Oklahoma.
What, if anything, is your current occupation?
Right now, I'm a principal at Jefferson High School.
Do you have any education in order to have this job?
Yes, I received my bachelor's in education from Oklahoma State with a minor in American history, civics, and economics.
What did you do after that?
Well, I wrote a book, and then I worked in retail for a while, because I really wanted to teach, but I wanted to teach in Stevens, and there weren't any positions available at that time.
What did you do next?
Well, a position finally opened up in Stevens, and I ended up teaching civics for 13 years. While I was teaching, I went back and got my master's in education from the University of Southern Oklahoma.
Have you done anything with this degree?
Yes, since I had my degree in educational administration, I became a vice principal for 4 years at Coastal High School. During that time, I received my doctorate in education.
Did you do anything after that?
Finally, I received the job as principal of Jefferson High School in Stevens.
What, if anything, happened at the very beginning of the school year?
Well, at the beginning of every school year, we have a student council campaign, and it's made up of seniors who are in good academic and disciplinary standing, and they're allowed to run for student council president.
Who are the candidates this year?
This year, we had 4 candidates. We had Miss Christensen, who ran for the JHS Christian Club. We had Miss Lancho, who ran on a veganism platform. We had Billy Wilder, who was candidate for the chess club, and Jesse Young, who ran on an anti-Iraq war platform.
What, if any, procedures did these candidates have to go through in order to become a candidate?
Well, they have to be, like I said, in good academic and disciplinary standing. They also have to write an outline of their speech and submit it to a committee of 2 teachers, Ms. Godwin and Ms. Keptic. They also have to look over the rules and procedures and agree to abide by them.
Would you please revert your attention to Exhibit 5 and 10?
At this time, Your Honor, may I publish Exhibits 5 and 10 to the jury?
You may.
Do you believe that Pat Christensen abided by policies and procedures?
No, I do not.
In what way?
Well, I looked over her speech at the end after I came back, and I had received a complaint from a student, and I did a thorough investigation. I consulted investigations, I determined that she had broken Rule C5, where it says no campaign materials that are deemed disruptive, inappropriate, scurrilous, obscene, or offensive will be allowed.
What in particular did you find a problem on the outline?
Well, in her outline, she said that she mentioned praying and the Ten Commandments, and that's clearly a reference to religious innuendo, and it's inappropriate in a school context.
But earlier you mentioned your speech. Would you please this time avert your attention to Exhibit 12? What did you find in your investigation of the speech?
There are certain quotes that are clearly inappropriate in the school setting. The second paragraph, third paragraph, the second sentence, where she says, "This campaign is not about me personally, it's about the message I bring, a message that can transform our school." She's trying to change our school to be more religious. Also, at the end of the first page, she says, "These rules are given to us by God. We must practice them in our school, in our classroom, and in our homes." Again, on the third page, she also says, "As your class president, I will try to have these rules posted in the intro into the school where we can be reminded of their truth every day."
What did you do with these findings in your investigation?
Again, I talked with legal counsel at the school board, and they backed me fully. I called Pat into my office and said that we'd found certain parts of her speech to be inappropriate, and if she would tone down the religious content, she would be allowed to continue to run.
Did you tell her to take out all religious content?
I did not.
How did she handle what you told her to do?
She said she would think about it, and
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Response, Your Honor? Party for an exception?
No, overrule the objection.
Yes. How did she handle how did she respond to this?
well, I told her at the meeting, and she said that she would need to think about it. So she went home, and she came back the next day and said that it would be against her beliefs to take out any religious content, and so I barred her from the election.
Why?
Her speech is clearly proselytizing. She's trying to convert my students in my school at a mandatory assembly. She's using the school as a platform to preach, and it could result in alienation of some students' beliefs. They're being told what to believe, and if she had continued and won the position of president, she would have tried to transform my school into
Objection, Your
a more
Honor.
religious.
Speculation.
Your Honor, this is what she found in her investigation. She is fully given, with all her degrees and her education, she has the full right to be a lay witness on this opinion.
Response, Your Honor.
May.
Although she is educated and does have many degrees, that doesn't give her any knowledge of what Pat Christensen might do if elected as president.
Is your witness testifying as to her belief, or is she actually drawing factual conclusions from her
She's
investigation?
testifying to what was written in Exhibit 12 on the speech. Like, for example, the transforming school, she read that quote for quote in the speech. It's not her own opinion.
I think the witness has strayed too far and is in fact speculating about the motives of Ms. Christensen, and so I'm going to sustain the objection.
You mentioned that the assembly was mandatory. Why was it?
It's part of our curriculum. We have an active democracy, and it's meant to teach the students about how to be good participants in their country and learn how to be a part of the democratic process.
And why should religion be allowed into this process?
Religion shouldn't be allowed. It's not appropriate in a mandatory assembly where students cannot choose to leave. They can't choose to not listen. They're forced to hear beliefs that may contradict their own.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Cation, you would agree that there were 4 seniors running for student council president this year?
Yes,
And you would also agree that these 4 seniors all had various platforms?
they did.
So they had multiple viewpoints on how they felt the school should be ran?
They had multiple viewpoints.
And Dr. Cation, am I correct in saying that it's your position that religion plays no part in schools?
Yes, that's my position.
Are you aware that there is a Jefferson High School Christian club on campus?
I am.
But just for clarity, I'm correct in saying that it is your position that religion plays no part in schools?
It does not occur during
Objection
school
asked
hours.
and answered.
Respond. I'm just simply restating the question for clarification purposes.
I think you asked the question before. Move on.
Dr. Cation, would you please refer to Exhibit 4, which is in front of you. It is a copy of the written reprimand. Yes. Could you please read for the court the student action requiring discipline?
It says, Pat Christensen delivered a speech at the Student Council Election Assembly in violation of the school's policy regarding content.
So, Dr. Cation, it was actually the content of Pat Christensen's speech which required you to ban her from the election.
Yes, it was.
And you're also aware that you wrote this reprimand on September 18th,
Yes, I did.
which is the day after the speeches were presented.
I did.
So you had a preconceived notion that Pat Christensen was not going to change her platform, and therefore you wrote this reprimand.
I did not.
You didn't write the reprimand on September 18th?
I did write it on September. Yes.
So you gave Pat Christensen time to answer you with whether or not she would take out her religious beliefs before you wrote the reprimand?
She had already delivered the speech. It already had the content in it.
So you didn't give Pat Christensen any opportunity to take out the religious innuendo before you wrote the reprimand?
I did not.
Dr. Cation, you are aware that there are 2 faculty members in charge of overseeing the election?
Yes, I am.
And neither of these faculty members saw anything wrong with Pat Christensen's speech?
None that they brought to me.
And they also didn't see anything wrong with Pat Christensen while she
Objection.
was...
Speculation. Calls for speculation.
Yeah, I think we should finish the question. What is the question?
I was asking her if she was aware that the faculty members that were in charge during the assembly did not do anything to stop Pat Christensen from giving her speech.
If she has a factual basis for her answer, then she can answer it.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
You are aware that there are 2 faculty members which she left in charge did not do anything to stop Pat Christensen from giving the speech.
She gave the speech, so apparently they didn't.
Dr. Cation, would you say that Godwin and Keptic failed to do their duties?
Yes, I would.
And these are the 2 faculty members that you yourself left in charge.
I did.
So you failed as principal to do your job efficiently.
Objection argumentative.
Respond, Your Honor. I'm not arguing with the witness. I'm simply asking her a question.
It was rhetoric, Your Honor.
She's on cross-examination. It's pretty liberal. You can ask the question.
Would you say that you failed to do your job as principal of the school to inform the employees that you oversee of what their duties were?
They brought me no complaints, so I saw no reason to look over there. I give them that duty. It's their duty. I have seen no reason to oversee it unless they have a problem.
Dr. Cation, you state that you actually banned Pat Christensen from the election because it was controversial. Yes.
Inappropriate, controversial, yes.
And you are aware that an anti-Iraq war platform could seem controversial to some students sitting in the audience?
I don't know.
Dr. Cation, Pat's campaign did clear the Election Oversight Committee.
Yes.
And would you please refer to Exhibit 4, which is a copy of Pat Christensen's poster? It's already been entered into Exhibit 4. It's actually Exhibit 6. Sorry.
Yes.
Is this a copy of Pat Christensen's campaign poster?
Yes, it is.
Which is what you asked her to take the religious innuendo out of?
I asked her to take the religious innuendo out of her campaign as a whole, which includes the speech.
But you wrote the reprimand and asked her to take the religious innuendo out after she had already delivered the speech.
Yes.
So the only thing left in her campaign was actually posters.
The posters, yes.
And there is nothing in this poster that is actually religious. Is that true?
No.
So actually there was no basis for your request to Pat Christensen that she take anything out of her speech.
Yes, there was.
Dr. Cation, you are aware that the only thing left in her campaign at all were her posters.
But not if she won.
However, we aren't here today to determine what would happen after Pat Christensen run. We're here today because you banned Pat Christensen from even having the opportunity to run. Isn't that true?
No, it's not. I banned her from running after She refused to, I gave her the opportunity to correct her speech. She refused to. So I banned her from the election because of that. Because if she won, it would create problems legally for myself and the school, and it would also alienate certain students' beliefs.
However, Dr. Cation, you are aware that Pat Christensen had already delivered her speech. Therefore, she was not given another opportunity to take anything out and deliver the speech again.
No, she was not allowed to deliver the speech again. September 17th is the only available date to deliver a speech.
So she couldn't take anything involving religion out of her campaign.
Yes, she could.
Dr. Cation, could you please testify before the court what you wanted Pat Christensen to take out of her campaign?
I wanted her to take out of her campaign the promise that she would enact these religious beliefs into my school. I wanted her to take out the fact that she would post the 10 Commandments on my front door. I wanted her to take out the fact that she would encourage the school board to enact intelligent design.
So, after she had already given the speech and said all those things, the only thing that she could have taken back was what she actually had in conversation with other students.
True. The only thing that she could take back was the fact that she would enact these changes in my school.
However, as student council president, she doesn't maintain authority over you, does she?
No, she does not.
So you, as student council president, you would still have to approve what she was going to enact.
I approve everything. I approve her campaign, and I approve what she does afterwards.
Dr. Cation, you are aware that there was nothing prohibiting controversy in the student council election?
Yes, it prohibits inappropriate and disruptive, and controversial is disruptive.
However, you also are aware that controversial could be actually deemed controversial to someone and not someone else.
That's why it's controversial. It's a definition of controversial.
So the anti-Iraq war platform could have been deemed controversial to someone sitting in the audience?
Yes, it could have.
And Dr. Cation, are you aware that there is nothing in the Jefferson High School policies and procedures that prohibits religion from the campaign platform?
There never specifically says religion.
Thank you, Dr. Cation.
And redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why was it so important that Pat not be allowed to run anymore?
Her entire platform was based on religion. She wanted to enact changes that she thought would better the school. However, they were religious changes, and in a secular environment such as a school where students are forced to go to school, they're not allowed to not go. They can't skip. They have to be there. They are forced to look at these commandments on the wall. They're forced to listen to Pat encourage praying in school. If it's not their beliefs, it could alienate them or just make them feel that they're not a part of the school anymore.
Were you specifically trying to stop her speech from being given again, or was it her whole campaign platform?
It was in her entire platform. Now,
could you explain again what was wrong with the speech according to the policies?
it's inappropriate. She advocates certain things that can't be addressed in a school environment. They're to be addressed at home and at church, not in school, where our job is to teach them objectively and teach them multiple subjects without leaning one way towards a bias.
So why, for example, when you were asked about the Iraqi war being controversial, why would that not fall under that rule?
Because there's no reason. Iraq war is not a religion. It can be addressed in school. We teach it in history. It's part of what's going on. It's part of current events. We teach it in current events as well. It's something that involves the student's learning experience.
No further questions, Your Honor. Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. On September 18th, 2010, Pat Christensen's rights were clearly violated when Jefferson High School and Dr. Cation prohibited her from further involvement in the student council election because of her religious message. Your Honor, in the joint pretrial brief submitted, there were 3 identified legal issues which need to be addressed today.